Why hello there, it's me again, Video Gamer Angel, or VCR Riot if you feel like it. Back so soon, are we? Well, as you can see from the title, I now have 4K subscribers. And following channel tradition, I hosted another art poll to decide what I should draw for the occasion. As you can see, the Bloodborne comic won. It's pretty fitting that I get to draw something from a game that's drenched with despair and misery, after a year that's also filled with that. But hey, if you're watching this video, that means you made it to the end. So, congratulations. You're a lot tougher than you thought you were. Don't forget to spend your experience points on stamina because your sleep schedule is whack. I'm just joking, but you get the point. Despite how nightmarish last year had been, it's at least worth reflecting on your experiences, both good and bad. I mean, it's your life. Choosing to forget most of it will guarantee that you'll make the same mistakes next time. Like I said before, you don't want to be pessimistic, but you don't want to be delusional either. Moderation between the two extremes is paramount. Though there are times you feel like you're balancing on a tightrope, you do have a safety net. And that safety net is other people. You and I are lucky enough to be living in the internet age. Family and friends can be contacted through the cyberspace, no matter the distance. Information can be found with a couple of seconds of typing and clicking. Granted, not every answer is going to be true or even useful. If last year has shown us anything, it's that people are more than happy to listen to Facebook and Twitter posts rather than actual doctors and scientists, blindly following their favorite politicians rather than their own family or close friends. The fact that you're still here means that you haven't fallen into that trap. But if you did, at least you're climbing out of it. Or at least trying to. Peer pressure is a hell of a drug, and it only gets more potent the more people it passes through. Being able to wade through all the bullshit in pursuit of the truth is not easy, but it's a skill that's mandatory in the internet age. Social media can make or break you. Either way, it's much better than learning things the hard way, alone. Though you do eventually learn things the hard way anyway, it's best to minimize how often that happens. You know, for your own personal safety and sanity. Like if you have to handle guns or Tide Pods, there are some things you need to get right the first time. Either way, trial and error is part of life, whether it be from your own experiences or someone else's. I don't claim to have all the answers, and most likely you don't either. But the lessons we learn in life can be shared and combined into its own answer, assuming we can keep an open mind and have a civil discussion. Don't get me wrong, you learn a lot of things being alone, but if you've been in quarantine as much as I have, being alone gets old real fast. Speaking of which, last year was the year I started streaming. I don't consider myself a VTuber because for one, I don't have my own custom-made avatar. The one I use is a default one from the Live 2D DLC for FaceRig. I did try my hand at making one, but the software is a lot more complicated than I was expecting. It'll definitely take a month of planning and learning just to get things going, but that can wait. Either way, I still have a lot to learn when it comes to streaming. Streaming, like a lot of things, is a skill, and I have the utmost respect for the people who do it professionally. When I do get to that level, at least my custom-made avatar will feel more earned. Nothing of value can be obtained without proper planning, execution, and improvisation. In the case with streaming, you never know who shows up in chat, so you gotta be ready for whatever topic pops up. You can't plan for everything, so that's why improv is the key for any situation. And, funny enough, adapting to whatever's thrown at you is a pretty big part of Bloodborne. In the game, you're stuck in a plague-ridden city full of monsters that are more than happy to rip you in half. You're trapped in an endless nightmare, and your only choices are to fight back or to descend into madness. I mean, this is Bloodborne, you're gonna be doing both anyway, but still. It's not an easy game because it doesn't hold your hand, but it will give you a fighting chance if you're willing to learn from your trials and tribulations. Unlike Dark Souls that promotes a more defensive playstyle, Bloodborne is more offensive. You need to be the one that takes initiative, at least for the regular-sized enemies. Once you start fighting bigger opponents, you'll need to be more considerate about the timing of your attacks. Either way, proper adaptation and improvisation will carry you through most of the game. Even if you feel like you're stuck, there's always another strategy you can try out. Maybe a different weapon or item is needed to flip the odds back in your favor. You can even call in fellow players to help you on your journey. You don't know who they are or where they came from, but they still showed up to help when you called. In real life, people generally want to help each other if given the opportunity. But as tensions rise and diseases spread, it's harder for people to be sympathetic. And as politicians and corporations continue to take advantage of people's trust, it's harder to live when so much of your life feels like it's out of your control. The monsters we face every day are human, but that doesn't mean they're any less brutal. Hate is the most addictive drug in the world. Not only is it extremely profitable, but it's self-sustaining. Whether it's your skin color, political views, gender, religion, or whatever, someone somewhere out there will hate you for it. Hate is destructive to both its user and to anyone unlucky enough to get caught in the secondhand smoke. Is it too much to ask for the world to just get along? If 2020 has showed us anything, it is. Hell, the former US president built his campaign on hatred and fear. He would always point the finger on everyone else, including members of his own party, and never himself. I feel bad for the poor historians that'll need to organize all his Twitter rants for the latest edition of American history. I'm not a very political person at heart, but let's be honest, avoiding politics in 2020 and beyond is only going to cause more grief, not just for yourself, but to everyone in your country. You don't have to be the one that brings politics to the dinner table, but you do need to jump into the conversation to gain perspective and insight. Regardless of who you're talking to, you need to be adaptive and keep an open mind to different opinions and ideas. You don't have to agree on everything. What's important is that you can find understanding from the other side. Being able to listen and retain information is such a valuable skill in conversation. There are no shortcuts to gain respect. It has to be earned. If you don't respect your opponent, they won't respect you. If they don't respect you, you don't need to validate their hatred. A conversation can't happen if one side doesn't see the other as a mutual. Nobody is perfect. We all have weaknesses and biases that we don't want to be pointed out by other people. But being self-aware of our shortcomings is necessary for personal growth. One of the worst things about hatred is that you're so focused on destroying someone else's life, you end up destroying your own. We've been throwing stones at each other for so long, they've become polished enough to be a mirror. And let me tell you, no one's happy with what they see in the reflection. It's hard to be sympathetic when every day there's a new tragedy or controversy. It's hard to be happy when it seems like the whole world is out to get you. Political parties are becoming more like cults every day. Terrorist groups have infiltrated our governments, and most of them didn't even need to kick down the door. To make matters worse, a lot of them are still there, sucking up tax dollars. And the companies and corporations we do business with, they tend to push their workers to the brink of insanity, and still they keep on pushing. It's too expensive to live, and it's too expensive to die. We were born in this world on debit, inheriting the sins of the past, and then some. And, even after all that, against all odds, you're still here. You're tougher than you thought you were. It's starting to sound like a superhero origin story, isn't it? Or maybe supervillain? Oh shit. Just know that you're not alone. If history has taught us anything, it's that people fought against bullshit for generations. The only difference now is that we have more media coverage. Life has many problems, and we're not going to be solving it with one YouTube video. One thing is for sure, hate is never the right answer. Never trust any leader that uses it as a ladder, otherwise you'll just become one of the rungs. If it sounds like a cult, looks like a cult, and acts like a cult, it's probably a cult. Your life is more important than any political party or corporation. Never forget that. And be sure to take a break every once in a while. There's always something happening in the world, and you can't focus on everything at once. So take your time, and don't forget to breathe. We're all on the same journey together. Even if we take different paths, our destination is still the same. Pursuit of happiness, 401k, you know, all that good shit. And of course, hoping we can leave the world in a better shape than when we were dropped onto it. I wish you the best of luck for this year and beyond. You don't know who I am or where I came from, but I'll still be cheering you on regardless. From a distance. Because, the Rona. Till next time. What the fuck?